it's another thing that really fascinates me is like all the different skill sets you have to be successful.
Right.
I was wondering if you could like run through a list of the skill sets you need to be a successful producer or artist in this business.
So a lot of producers, before I get started, a lot of producers earn the right to be assholes.
Yep.
So I think it was a Motown movie when the writers for the Temptations, one of the groups didn't want to sing one of the songs. The writers were like, "Fuck you, we'll just give it to somebody else." You know, you can get to that point, but before you get to that point, I actually think people have to. And Carl Washington taught me this, and I didn't understand it when he first said it. People got to want to work with you, and as simple as that sounds, if people don't like you. Like if I go in the studio with somebody and they're assholes, even if I just suffer through that session, I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
So people gotta want to work with you, whether that's your track record, your reputation precedes you, or you're just a good person. Some people will just work with you. Oh man, that's a really nice guy. His shortcomings are this, that, and the third, but we'll work with that. But first and foremost, your work ethic. I don't have any sympathy for somebody who complains or has anything to say if their work ethic is lacking. Like even people with talent without work ethic, I have a problem with.
Yeah.
Because I know the clock is ticking on them.
Yeah.
That talent is only going to get you so far. The person who gets up and works 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 and works. Even with me, when I'm in my slumps, creatively or whatever, I know if I can force myself to get up and come to the studio, even if I just sit here, that's a form of work, as opposed to me just sitting at home, just, oh shit, man, I'm in a writer's block. And so work ethic for me comes before anything. That's number one. Number two is I think people gotta like you until you earn your way. Because once you earn your way, you work with whoever the fuck you want to work, as long as you still get results.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be hot forever. And in those down times, what's going to bring you up out of that slump is people still fucking with you. So that's your relationships.
It takes people their whole life to have a hit song. And suddenly you get a hit song and your whole life changes. Everything changes. Everything you're doing from every day. And then you got to turn around pretty quickly and you get maybe 6 months or less to do your next hit, whereas you had your whole life before. Right. With the Yin Yang Twins, it hit and you guys were able to sustain this for so long. How did you maintain the space and mindset that you needed to continue that success when y'all were hitting big?
You know what's crazy? I'm going to answer this question differently today than I would have a year ago. And the difference is when this Corona shit hit, I was already DJing, but I started DJing on Instagram Live. I went on that first day and played 4 hours straight of nothing but Atlanta and Miami bass music and freestyle records. I did it 2 days in a row. And my following went crazy. I had all the tastemakers in Atlanta came through. Lil Jon came through. Just everybody. I can't remember. I thought I had like 8,000 followers on Instagram at the time. I thought I'd get like 100 people on there to tune in. I looked up, I had like 2,000 or 3,000 people on my IG the first day.
Nice.
I say that to say, I went and dug up every bass record that I could put my hands on, and my catalog, all that shit I did with DJ Kizzy Rock, all that shit I did with Shy D, Kid Money, before Yin Yang Twins. I have an entire discography of music that has nothing to do with my life as a record man. And what I realized is I really put in a lot of work to get me prepared for that. And I didn't realize how much I was producing I produced 4 albums for myself. I did 2 or 3 albums for Shy D, half an album for Kizzy Rock, countless singles for bass records, the So Def bass, also all this shit, all this catalog I got. I did a record on Lil Jon's. You may have mixed it. The Put Your Hood Up album. It was a record with Kilo.
Yeah.
I forgot that's why I got the plaque on the wall. And I said, damn, I really have been doing this a long time, and it prepared me for what was to come after. So I never felt pressure. I was ready, didn't even know it. Just from the work I had been putting in my whole career, from the time I walked up those steps and heard Throw the Dick, to the time Whistle While You Twerk came out, it was a career worth of work already done. So I never felt pressure to make records, to answer your question.
Yeah, it also seemed like you didn't really give a shit what anybody thought about what you were doing, meaning when you guys, after Whistle While You Twerk came out, and then we moved on to other records, for a long time, actually as long as I can remember, when we were in the studio, it was just you, me, and the Yin Yang Twins, and
Wasn't no entourage.
no entourage. And you said something interesting to me too. At one point you said you never send anything to the label that was distributing because you had, you were going, I can't remember what you had TVT and then
it was Koch and then TVT.
But you never sent them anything that wasn't done and mixed. You wouldn't send them 20 songs and say, hey, pick what you want. You'd say, here it is, motherfuckers. This is it. Yeah. There was always this vibe in the studio with you guys as if you had not had a hit record. It was not like, oh, what do we need to do to follow? It would always be like, hey, here's a good idea. Let's just do this thing, And it was always still like, we were just in a basement. Well, we actually were in a basement, but it was like we're just in a basement having fun. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. You guys never, for the longest time, never really got out of that, which was cool, which is why I think it lasted so long, because most people get out of that.
Right. I think our creative energy between the three of us, it was enough juice there to where even if I was down, those two had enough juice flowing to influence me and vice versa. I miss... Because I still do, like, I'm back doing beats now with the same energy that I had back then for the first time since that period of time. Yin Yang Twins, it's scary now that I even think about it. Like, we just always it was nothing.
Yeah.
The fact that they were so fucking funny, half the lyrics were jokes.
Yeah.
And if I laughed at it, it's a hit.
Which actually leads to my next subject here. I have this episode called Failure is the Key to Success, and subtitle is It's a Numbers Game. You have to work and work and work, and you got to have a lot of failures so you finally have some kind of success. So my question is, how many years did you work before you had measurable success?
I think my measurable success would be Yin Yang, would have started. Like, I had a career, but, I look at my peers that were artists at that time, and we made money, but it was like regular job money. Like, you know what I mean? And then before that, my shit with Edward J, working at the record store and making mixtapes, learning how supply and demand. Edward J was the first person to tell me, you got 30 seconds at the beginning of a mixtape. If the customer come in here and don't like them first 30 seconds, we don't give a shit about the rest of it. Which goes into how you make your records. If I put that needle on that record, back then, putting the needle on the record,
yeah,
you lost. So if you count maybe 93 to 2000, that was my time as an artist in the music industry before I started my label. Producer, learning about independent record labels and how they work, being up on the Shy D with his independent label, where we were out his garage, shipping records out his garage and dealing with record pools and learning how to deal with promoters and just really getting a lot of knowledge, not knowing that I was going to need it. But all that shit that I learned during that time, it directly prepared me for what I did with Yin Yang. So then when you start the Yin Yang Twins thing, even that journey, because that was the beginning of my journey alone, doing my own thing. So even that, from 99 to 2005, that journey prepared me for the whole Interscope shit. Because honestly, I always had this big idea of, well, if I had a major label behind me, I'd be killing shit. TVT was always like the best of the independent shit, which still wasn't major. TVT was a godsend. Like, it had its faults. Everybody had their faults, but they believed in us. At the end of the day, Brian Leach, you remember Brian?
Oh, yeah.
They believed in us as artists, and that's hard to come by. Every phase prepares you for something else. So it's funny, all this shit just compounds on top of each other to prepare you for the next phase. I look at it as phases.
Basically, you put in your 10,000 hours, as they say.
Oh, yeah.